You feel it in your chest, that quiet ache that doesn't go away. It's the loneliness that comes before you become free. It isn't the loneliness of being alone, but the loneliness of being too awake. You're holding everything that doesn't fit, the parts of you that feel out of place in the world. This ache is not a failure, but a sign that something is shifting. It shows up in small ways, in the silence after a conversation, in the way you pause before answering, in the weight of your own thoughts. You feel it when you're surrounded by people but still feel empty, or when you're alone and feel strangely whole. It's the loneliness of being on the cusp of something, a quiet, almost imperceptible pull toward a new way of being. You notice it when you're walking through a crowd and still feel invisible, or when you're in a room full of laughter and feel like you're the only one who can't quite join. It's the ache that grows when the old ways of being don't fit anymore, and the new ones aren't here yet. It's the loneliness of standing at the edge of a door that's just about to open. This loneliness has a root in the early parts of your life, where you learn to shrink to survive. You were told to be quiet, to fit, to stay small. You were not given permission to be your full self. That part of you, the part that wanted to be seen, to be heard, to be free, was buried. But it never went away. It was waiting for you to notice it. As you grew, you learned to manage that ache by pretending it wasn't there. You buried it in work, in relationships, in distractions. But the loneliness never disappeared. It only became quieter, more insistent. It shows up now when you're tired, when you're alone, when you're not sure if you're still the person you were. This is not the loneliness of being broken. This is the loneliness of becoming whole. It's the space between who you were and who you're becoming. You're not broken, you're in the process of becoming something new. And that process always feels lonely because it's not yet shared with the world. The pain you feel is not a flaw. It's a sign that you're growing. When you begin to see yourself more clearly, when you begin to stop hiding, you feel the weight of all the parts of you that were kept hidden. That weight is not a burden, it's the proof that you're becoming more honest with yourself. This is not a failure. It's a sign that you're on the right path. When you stop trying to fit into the world and start building your own, the loneliness is just a part of the journey. It's not the end, it's the beginning of something new. You're not alone in this. You're one of many who have felt this ache and who have made it through. You are not broken. You are becoming something. This loneliness is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're changing. It's the space between who you were and who you are. And that space is not meant to be filled with noise or distraction. It's meant to be filled with the quiet courage to be who you are. This journey is not meant to be easy. It's meant to be meaningful. You are not alone in this. You are not wrong for feeling this way. You are not broken for feeling this loneliness. You are simply becoming. This is the pain that comes before you become free. It's not the end. It's the beginning of something true. You are allowed to feel this. You are allowed to be here. You are allowed to be in the middle of it all. You don't have to fix this. You just have to be here. With the ache, with the silence, with the parts of you that are still waiting to be seen. That's the first step toward freedom. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to feel lost. You are allowed to be unsure of who you are or where you're going. That's not a weakness. It's a sign that you're still growing. You don't have to be everything all at once. You only have to be honest with yourself. That's where the healing begins. You are not required to be perfect. You are not required to be fearless. You are only required to be here, to face the parts of yourself that are still waiting to be seen. That's the courage that comes with freedom. It's not about being okay, it's about being real. You are not alone in this journey. You are not wrong for feeling the ache. You are not broken for being here. You are simply becoming. And becoming is not something that happens without pain. But that pain is not a failure. It's a sign that you're becoming something new, something true. You are allowed to take your time. You are allowed to feel all of it. You are allowed to be slow, to be uncertain, to be afraid. That's not a sign that you're not ready. That's a sign that you're still growing. You are becoming something. You are becoming more of who you are. That's not something that happens quickly. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to be here, in the silence, in the ache, in the middle of it all. That's not a failure. That's a sign that you're being honest with yourself. And that honesty is the first step toward freedom. You don't have to be everything all at once. You just have to be here. You are not meant to be alone in this. You are not meant to be broken. You are meant to be free. And that freedom is not something that comes without pain. It's not something that comes without loss, but it's also not something that comes without meaning. You are allowed to feel this. You are allowed to be here. You are allowed to be becoming. That is not weakness. That is maturity. That is the courage to be real. That is the growth that comes from the pain. That is the freedom that comes after the loneliness. You are allowed to be here, not because you're broken, but because you're becoming. And becoming is not a failure. It's a sign that you're alive. That is not a mistake. That is a sign that you're growing. That is not a failure. That is a sign that you're becoming. That is not something that happens quickly. That is something that happens when you're brave enough to be here, when you're honest enough with yourself to feel it all. That is the beginning of something true. You are not alone in this. You are not wrong for feeling it. You are not broken for being here. You are simply becoming. And that is not something that happens without pain. But that pain is not a failure. It's the price of freedom. What will you do with it? What will you become?